My name is Claire, and ever since I was little, I dreamed of having my own home. Not a huge mansion, not a luxury villa, just a cozy little house where I could feel safe and free. I worked 2 jobs for years, saving every penny, until finally, at 29, I bought a small countryside house. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. When I invited my parents over for the first time, I expected them to be proud. Instead, my mother wrinkled her nose and said, "Claire, this place looks like a pigsty. How can you live here?" My father just shook his head and muttered, "Your brother deserves a house like this, not you." My brother, their so-called golden child, was always their priority. His mistakes were forgiven, his bills were paid, and his failures were brushed aside. Meanwhile, I had to fight for every bit of respect. I laughed off their insult that day, but deep down, it hurt. I spent months decorating that home, planting flowers, fixing every corner. It wasn't a pigsty. It was my safe place. Months passed, and my parents rarely called me. Then, one night, I got a call. My brother had lost his 5th job this year. He had nowhere to stay. "Claire," my mother said, "your brother is moving into your house. Get his room ready." I froze. They weren't asking me. They were demanding. "Mom, this is my home. I don't have space for him. He needs to figure his life out." Her voice turned cold. "He is your brother. Family comes first. If you say no, don't expect us to ever forgive you." For days, they kept calling, begging, shouting, even guilt-tripping me. But I stayed firm. Then one evening, I heard a loud bang outside my front door. When I peeked through the window, my heart nearly stopped. It was my brother, and he was holding a crowbar. My heart pounded as I watched my brother standing on my porch, gripping the crowbar tightly. His face was red, twisted with anger, and for a moment I barely recognized him. I quickly locked every window and grabbed my phone. "Claire, open the door," he shouted, banging on it so hard that the wood shook. "You think you can throw family away? Mom and Dad said I could stay here. Open up." I took a deep breath and yelled back through the door, "This is my house, Mark. You can't just force your way in." But he didn't stop. He jammed the crowbar between the doorframe, trying to pry it open. My hands were shaking as I dialed 911. "911, what's your emergency?" "My brother is trying to break into my home with a crowbar," I whispered, my voice trembling. "Stay on the line, ma'am. Police are on the way." Outside, Mark was screaming, "You're so selfish, Claire. You've always been jealous of me. I'll teach you a lesson." I backed away from the door, clutching my phone like a lifeline. The banging grew louder, more violent. I could hear the wood cracking. Then, suddenly, sirens. Mark froze. He looked over his shoulder, and for a split second, I saw fear in his eyes. But instead of running, he turned back to the door and shouted, "Call the cops all you want. Mom and Dad will back me up." Within minutes, 2 police cars pulled into my driveway. Officers jumped out, ordering him to drop the crowbar. Mark hesitated, then threw it onto the grass. When they handcuffed him, he started yelling at me. "You called the police on your own brother? You're dead to me, Claire, dead." The officers took him away, but my phone started buzzing. It was my mother. "Claire, what have you done? You got your brother arrested? He was just scared and upset. How could you do this to family?" I felt tears burn my eyes. "Mom, he tried to break into my home. He threatened me." But she didn't listen. She called me heartless, ungrateful, and said I had shamed the family. My father sent me a single text, "You're no daughter of mine." That night, I sat alone in my quiet house, staring at the broken doorframe. I had chosen police over blood, and I wondered if I had just lost my family forever. But deep down, a small voice whispered, maybe this was the first time I finally stood up for myself. The next morning, my phone was full of missed calls and angry messages. My parents, my aunt, even some cousins. Everyone had something to say. Some called me a monster, others said I had destroyed the family name. I didn't reply to any of them. Instead, I went to the police station to file a restraining order. The officer listened patiently as I explained everything. The threats, the crowbar, the damage to my front door. "You did the right thing," he told me. "Family or not, he tried to break in. You have the right to feel safe." Hearing those words felt like a weight lifting off my chest. For once, someone was telling me I wasn't crazy. Later that day, I started repairing the doorframe. As I worked, I thought about my life. I had always been the quiet, obedient daughter, the one who tried to keep the peace. But where had that gotten me? A family that mocked my dreams, belittled my achievements, and treated my house, my sanctuary, like it was worthless? That evening, I finally answered one of my mother's calls. "Claire," she said, her voice cold and sharp, "your brother is out on bail. He's staying with us. We expect you to drop the charges." "No," I said firmly. "He scared me. He damaged my home. He needs help, Mom, not another free pass." "You're tearing this family apart." "No," I replied quietly. "I'm just refusing to let this family tear me apart." There was silence on the line, and then, click, she hung up. Days passed. My parents stopped contacting me completely. The house felt both peaceful and unbearably quiet. One afternoon, while drinking tea on my porch, my elderly neighbor, Mrs. Hughes, came over. "I saw what happened that night," she said softly. "You were so brave. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for protecting yourself." Her words made me tear up. For so long, I had doubted myself. Now I realized choosing to call the police wasn't betrayal. It was survival. But just when I thought things were calming down, I got a letter in the mail. It was from a lawyer. My parents were suing me, claiming that my brother had a right to temporary residence in my house since he was family. I sat on my porch holding that letter, my hands shaking. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The legal notice shook me to my core. How could my own parents drag me to court just so my brother could freeload in my home? I contacted a lawyer immediately. Mr. Adams, a calm and professional man in his 50s, read the letter carefully and said, "Don't worry, Claire. They don't have a legal right to your house. This is intimidation, but we will fight it." For weeks, my life became a blur of paperwork, meetings, and court dates. My parents showed up with my brother, sitting proudly on their side of the courtroom, glaring at me like I was a criminal. When my turn came to speak, I told the judge everything. How my parents insulted my home, how they pressured me to let my brother stay, how he came to my house with a crowbar and tried to break in. The judge raised an eyebrow at Mark. "Did you threaten your sister with a weapon?" Mark shifted uncomfortably. "I just wanted to scare her. She was being unreasonable." "Scare her?" the judge repeated sharply. "You attempted a forced entry. That is a crime." I saw my parents whisper angrily, but the damage was done. The judge granted my restraining order and dismissed their petition for temporary residence. When we stepped out of the courthouse, my mother cornered me in the parking lot. "Are you happy now? Your brother has a criminal record because of you. You humiliated this family." I took a deep breath. My voice didn't shake this time. "No, Mom. Mark humiliated himself. You just refused to see it." She stared at me like I was a stranger. My father didn't even look at me as they walked away, dragging Mark with them. For the first time in years, I didn't cry. Instead, I felt something stronger. Relief. That night, I sat in my repaired living room, looking around at the house I had worked so hard for. It was quiet, warm, and peaceful. I realized something important. I had spent years chasing my parents' approval, trying to earn love that always came with conditions. But now, for the first time, I had chosen myself. Maybe they would never forgive me. Maybe my brother would never speak to me again. But I wasn't afraid anymore. And as I locked my door that night, I whispered to myself, "This is my home, my peace, and no one is ever taking it from me again." Months passed after the court case. My parents completely cut contact with me. No calls, no messages, no birthday wishes. At first, it hurt. I would sit on my porch every evening, staring at the sunset, wondering if I had done the right thing. But slowly, I began to notice something. Peace. For the first time in my life, I wasn't walking on eggshells. I could wake up without dreading a phone call full of criticism. I could decorate my house the way I wanted, play music as loud as I liked, and invite friends over without worrying about judgment. One day, I decided to join a local gardening club. There, I met people who shared my love for nature and simple living. We planted flowers together, exchanged recipes, and talked about books. Mrs. Hughes, my neighbor, became like family to me. She would bring me pies, check on me when it rained too hard, and sometimes just sit with me on the porch and talk about life. One evening, as we watched fireflies dance in the yard, she said, "You know, Claire, blood doesn't always mean family. The people who respect you, who support you, they're your real family." Her words stayed with me. 6 months later, something unexpected happened. My father showed up at my door, alone. He looked older, tired, and much quieter than I had ever seen him. "Claire," he said, removing his cap, "I just came to say, I'm sorry." I froze. I had imagined this moment so many times, but I never thought it would actually happen. Mark's in therapy now. He's trying to get his life together. Your mother, well, she's still angry. But I see now that what we did to you was wrong. Tears welled up in my eyes. "Dad, I never wanted to lose you. I just wanted to feel safe." He nodded. "You did the right thing. I wish I had protected you instead of protecting him." We talked for hours that night. It wasn't a full reconciliation. There was still pain, still anger, but it was a start. When he left, I closed the door and felt a strange mix of sadness and hope. Maybe things would never go back to the way they were, but maybe, just maybe, I was building something better, because this time it would be on my terms. I walked around my little house, touching the walls, smiling. This home had seen tears, fear, and heartbreak, but it had also seen courage. And as I turned off the lights, I whispered to myself, I chose myself, and I'd do it again.